Hello and welcome to today's workshop where we're going to explore how to stop struggling with digestive issues and finally learn what's going on in there. So today, the information that I share, it doesn't replace one-on-one time and a relationship with a qualified healthcare professional and should not be considered health or medical advice. I don't know your health and family history and the specifics of what's going on for you. And if you do want to work with a practitioner or myself, then I encourage you to do so. Today, it's training and it is most certainly not health or medical advice. So you're ready to focus? Look, we'll be together today for about 30, 40 minutes. If you're really wanting to learn, try to keep your distractions, blah, I'm tongue-tied, to a minimum so you can get the most out of it. And if you stay with me to the end, I'll share with you how to get access to my symptoms assessment. It's a really quick and easy tool where you can get to understand what's going on in your body, and it will help you to start to join the dots. So let's get into it. I'm going to show you today how you can support yourself by taking a functional medicine nutrition approach. And by the end of our time together, you're going to have more insight into what may be going on in there in your body and be clear on the next steps to take. So can you relate? As I go through these slides, I want you to nod your head, make a note on a bit of paper, or just you can even, drop me a message and say, oh my gosh, these are the ones that I related to, because I'm sure there's going to be a few. Struggling with gut and related digestive issues for a long time. Bloating, constipation, loose stools, gas, burping, reflux, colitis, IBS, IBD, SIBO, polyps. Perhaps you have celiac, Crohn's, or another autoimmune disease that you want to know how to better manage. Have you eliminated certain foods, but you're not sure what else is helpful or hurtful for your body? Or perhaps you have food intolerances, sugar cravings, and unintended weight gain. What about this one? I've tried many things. I've seen many health professionals. I've researched a lot on my own, and I feel like I'm still going around in circles without resolution. What about this one? My gut and my poor health often gets in the way of me being able to enjoy my life to the fullest. Or this, I'm constantly fatigued. I struggle sleeping. I suffer from hormone fluctuations and I often have sore joints. I also often have brain fog, low mood, anxiety, and or depression. Now, if you're ticking a lot of these boxes, I promise I'm not stalking you. It's because they're very common. And whilst they're common, it doesn't mean that they're normal. And I suffered from many, many, many of these symptoms over the years. And it wasn't until I took a functional medicine nutrition approach to myself have I alleviated myself of these symptoms. And it's the same for many of my clients. And what I want you to know is it's not your fault. I started seeing doctors about some of my gut issues early on. It was around about the age of 19 when I suppose took a handle of my own health, and I didn't get many answers for many years. And what I want you to do is to get into the positive mindset of imagine you no longer had digestive issues or gut issues. You're happy, healthy, have lots of energy, you've got a stable mood, you feel confident in your clothes, you've got a wardrobe of clothes that you love wearing, and you know how to nourish your body given your age and stage of life. And depending on where you're at, you might look at that and say, oh, wow, that would be amazing. But given how poor I feel at the moment, it seems like a stretch too far. I'm here to tell you, I see it day in, day out with my clients that by taking a functional medicine approach with nutrition can be life-changing. So for me, I am university qualified functional nutritionist with a special interest in gut health, autoimmune disease, and epigenetics. And that's largely given my daughter's autoimmune disease, but also my own health. I've had polyps. I've had 9 colonoscopies in 20 years, which is a lot, because I'm at risk of bowel cancer. So I am very, very invested in gut health. I know a lot about gut health, and I'm always researching. I'm always researching that intersection between what's going on and genetics. And of course, autoimmune disease. I'm the founder of the Healthy Gut Formula. I'm also the founder of many other life-changing programs, but I've only listed that one on there today. So the day my journey began, look, like I said, I was reasonably well, I was on and off sick as a kid, but from the age of about 16 or so, I had really severe fatigue, really upset stomach, severely constipated, and I'm talking about, passing a motion every week, if not longer. And so I took the matters into my own hands when I was 19, and I saw a gastroenterologist, and that's when I first had one of my first colonoscopies. I think I was just 20. And it was in one of my follow-up colonoscopies where he sat me down and he said, "You are at an increased risk of bowel cancer." And as you can see, I've just taken an extract of one of the letters that he gave me back in 2004. I was 23 at this stage, and I felt lost, overwhelmed, suffocated. I actually didn't really know what to do as a young person. And unfortunately, back then, there wasn't a lot of guidance. It was more around just eat healthy and try not to drink too much. Definitely don't smoke. Don't eat fast food. I've never eaten fast food, clearly because of my risk. And you should be okay, but we need to scan you, every couple of years. So I have gone on, I'm now in my 40s. And like I said, I've had lots and lots of colonoscopies, but it hasn't been until I became a functional nutritionist and started work on myself that my constipation has left. And I didn't realize I had been bloated for 20 years. And when my bloating went away, I was like, oh my gosh. So the day it changed. So 11 years after that conversation with that gastroenterologist, it was when my daughter was unwell. So my daughter was diagnosed with autoimmune disease at the age of 2, and she was eating raspberries. And these are fresh raspberries off our vine at home. That's my hand. And I remember it like it was yesterday. So she could hardly walk. She was incredibly unwell, and she ate raspberries. And then within 30 minutes, she was running around and happy as Larry. And I was like, what is going on here? So I spent the next couple of days observing her, unable to walk, in a lot of pain. Her inflammation was chronic, had some raspberries, and again, she'd come good. She wouldn't come good for long, but it was enough for her to, get her energy back. And yeah, it really did help her. That was the day my life changed. And that was the day where I went from my previous career into being fully invested in nutrition and functional medicine and gut health, and saying, wow, what an impact it does. Now, this is not a script for you to go off and just eat lots and lots and lots of raspberries. Most certainly raspberries are very good for the gut. And if you can tolerate them, a couple a day, a punnet or 2 a week are great. But it needs to be within a balanced bio-individual plan for you. So I'll talk to that in a little bit more. But that was the day that I said, I'm committing my life to investigating this. And here I am. And frustrations, there have been many. That's us in the US. Well, not us, but that's my daughter. And we went to Whole Foods and, we were over there seeing specialists for her condition, functional ones. And, we're buying all the fruit and veggies fresh. And it's been frustrating. It's been frustrating if you've got a chronic condition You know what I'm talking about. You see lots of doctors, lots of other health professionals. No one really can work it out. They throw a whole lot of supplements at you and you don't get better. And that was the same for me. For my 20 plus 5-year struggle with my gut, whilst I was doing the regular screenings, which have been incredibly powerful for me because, I don't want those polyps, continuing to grow in my bowel. But I was never able to find anyone who was able to really take a bio-individual approach. So my discovery, and this is me, my last colonoscopy in my hospital bed. Well, it's not a hospital, it's a day surgery place. But what I've learned is nutrition and lifestyle habits, but I call them upgrades. Making these upgrades has a powerful role for not only your gut, but also your overall health, your immunity, your hormones, your mood, your energy, and more. There's a lot of science to prove it, and I have worked with hundreds of people around the world and have seen the most tremendous, what's the word? Transformations is probably the best word, taking a functional approach. And here's our gorgeous Audrey. So she was 10 when I saw her, and here's a picture of her hand. The first time I saw her, it was as red as her shirt. It was red raw, this eczema. And she had this pain on her hand that she said was often unbearable. She'd had it for many, many years. Mum told me they'd tried everything. They'd had the pharmaceutical drugs, they'd had creams and lotions and potions and tablets, and nothing had really got rid of it. And they wanted to take action. So what we did was some functional testing to learn what was going on in her body. So we did a gut test and we learnt some very interesting things which made and helped me create a bio-individual plan for Audrey. Within 2 weeks, I got this photo and she was thrilled. The inflammation had reduced significantly. It had gone from, like I said, the color of her shirt there, bright red, raw, painful, to completely died down within 2 weeks. And it wasn't as painful and sore and itchy anymore. So I'm still continuing to work with Audrey on her gut and a few other things, but she's continuing to regain her health, which is, it fills my heart with so much love and joy. You would have no idea how I feel so honored to be able to help people. So the real reason why what you're doing isn't working. Now, I say these things because I was doing a lot of them myself. And also, I see it all the time with my clients. My clients often say to me, I'm their last best stop. They've tried lots of things. And then when they come and we take this bio-individual functional medicine approach to their nutrition, they get results. So, firstly, you may not be tackling the root causes of your symptoms. So without getting to the root causes of your gut issues, diet changes and supplements and, whatever else you're doing is just not going to work. Taking advice from Google or people in online forums such as Facebook, it's not going to work. It's not going to get to the root causes of your condition, nor will it consider your unique biochemistry. I see this often, people saying, oh, I just want some tips on my constipation. Well, how long have you been constipated? 20 years. Interesting. Okay. What else is going on in your health? And, what's your family history? And, when I start to unpack, it becomes clear to me what some of the root causes of the constipation may be. We may need to do some functional testing, but by taking advice from general people in Facebook or wherever online, it's not necessarily going to get to your root causes. The other one I see a lot is removing gluten, dairy, and sugar from your diet. And again, it could be really helpful, but it's not going to address any nutritional imbalances. And when I say imbalances, I mean deficiency or toxicity. and other root causes. So, by taking gluten out, you may feel better, but you still also might be deficient or toxic in certain minerals. So, and you won't know that unless you look into it. Taking prescription drugs and supplements, it can help, um, but it's often not going to get to the bottom of what's going on in there. So I take what's called a functional medicine nutrition approach, which has got really 3 levels. And the first level is where we talk about addressing the non-negotiables in your food and lifestyle choices. So, it does come back to, what are you eating? If you're not eating a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables and you're not drinking, enough water, then, that's where we need to start. But I will say, for the majority of my clients, they are doing, they've got clean diets. They're eating pretty well, but they're still struggling. So there's something else going on. That's where we then stop to go to point number 2. So where I can help you go from deficiency to sufficiency in not only your intake, but also helping you with your absorption. So looking at that whole digestive tract, all the different organs and the systems involved, and saying, how can we optimize your absorption? And then where I work with you on is dismantling dysfunction. So that's where we work through to say, okay, what's happening in your environment with stress, with toxins, again, nutrition and hydration, all of these things come into play. So we do very, very deep dive, trying to work out where some of the roots, as you can see on this tree, are at play and what are some of your triggers. So Anne got results within weeks. So Anne was a vegan. She was in her 20s, gorgeous, bubbly young woman, professional in her role, and had ongoing constipation and bloating. And she told me how uncomfortable it was being at work, all dressed up beautifully, and then having to let out her clothes because she was so bloated in the afternoon. She had abdominal pain. She also used to get headaches. She adopted a vegan diet because she thought she was doing the right thing. She also did do it for animal reasons. She had seen a naturopath previously and was pretty disillusioned, if I'd say, around natural medicine, given her experience with that practitioner. And she had really little resolution of her symptoms. So she came to me on referral from another person who had seen me and had got great results. So she felt like she could trust me. So within weeks of making some adjustments to her nutrition, her symptoms resolved. And her symptoms resolved even before we got her gut test back. So what I do when we meet in our first consultation is I go through with you what your family and chronological health history is. And then based on that, I work out if there's any functional testing that would be good for you. In her case, it was doing a poo test, a gut test. And then I get you on a plan. So I give you some recipes and I tell you things to eat and not to eat if possible. And she did that and she got results even before her gut test came back, which was great. So then when the gut test came back, the results, we could fine tune it. And she now knows what foods work best for her body and what foods don't. And not being bloated, for someone like myself who suffered for bloating for 20 years, I know how amazing it feels to be able to wear clothes and feel confident to be able to step out and not be worried that you're going to look 6 months pregnant by the end of the day. How to stop the overwhelm roller coaster. So, quite simply, you don't have a roadmap. I had a client this morning who is at the end of his tether. He's it looks like he had food poisoning and, he's probably still got the infection. He's been tested top to bottom, lots of different tests by all the medical profession. No one's looked at his gut. And, he's perfectly fine and well before going overseas. Go overseas, get food poisoning, sick as ever since. didn't until today have a roadmap, and it's very overwhelming if you're just going based on Google and what so-and-so thinks, and you know, you don't have a clear plan that's for you. Without a bio-individual roadmap, you're going to continue to go around in circles. My daughter's health changed, my health changed, a lot of my clients' health changes when we get a functional test that is clinically appropriate for them, and we get results that give us clues so we have some things to work towards for them. When you know what's going on in there, you can create, or I can create for you, a bio-individual plan. And it is powerful stuff. It is powerful for you to be clear on why I'm asking you to do what I'm asking you to do, and also for you to stick to it because you know why. Here's something I get told a lot, that I feel like I'm going against my doctor's advice. And, whatever is going on with your health, this can be done in conjunction. I'm not going to say to you, go off your medicines or, whatever. I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose. What I do is complementary. All the work around the nutrition and optimizing your mineral and vitamin status, it is complementary. Gut issues run in my family. I hear this a lot, and this is certainly in our family genetics as well. But because there's a genetic component, it doesn't mean you can't change your health and well-being trajectory. For me, I know that I've got a particular condition where, I grow polyps. It's called serrated polyposis syndrome, I think is what they call it, a syndrome. And thank God I've been getting them removed, and they have not been growing because, a lot of mine in the past have been precancerous. So they've got to go. So I no doubt have a genetic predisposition. And what I'm doing is I'm optimizing my health. What I've got, my condition has not sped up. It's slowed down, which is great. And I'm keeping it at bay. So if you've got genetics, don't use that as, a reason it's, that you can't do this, because it's absolutely not the case. You can change your trajectory for sure. I must spend hours grocery shopping, cooking and prepping in order to make meals that will help me. And I don't have that kind of time. Well, I'm going to show you how to stick to a plan without having to spend hours in the kitchen, but also I'm going to be very direct with you that by taking a functional medicine nutrition approach, you have to be able to invest in yourself, and you are going to have to work through how you nourish yourself with food. So I'm going to show you how I do this and how it works for many other people. It'll be too hard to stick to a plan. Well, I'm going to tell you. What are the changes to make, nutrition and lifestyle. Remember, I call them upgrades, and I can give you recipes as well if you need them. So the discovery that I made that changed the way I think about gut health, and it's around nutrition and lifestyle choices. It matters a lot. So the reason you showed up today is because you want to help with your ongoing digestive issues. And I've discovered that the best way to support not only myself and my family and my clients in regaining their health and getting a healthy gut is they need 5 things. So 1 is to learn what's going on in there so you can optimize your gut health. So if there's dysbiosis, too many bad bugs, not enough good bugs, if you've got leaky gut, if you've got imbalances, yeast, parasites, worms, pathogens, we need to know. This could be part of your root causes. Having a practitioner sit with you and go through your health and family history chronologically, help you join the dots, help you work through, are there any potential genetic polymorphisms that might be at play based on your family history, and working out what further functional investigations are worthwhile pursuing is invaluable. When I took my daughter, I flew her 30 hours across the world to see a functional specialist when she was sick. The thing I valued the most was he sat with us for 1 hour. I had to fill in a extensive questionnaire before we got there. You will do the same when you work with me. You have to fill in a form before we meet so I can read it prior and get some questions together. And then he spent the 1 hour and he just, lots of questions, lots of questions, lots of questions, lots of joining dots, which was so incredibly powerful. No one had ever done that. We had seen so many people, and no one had ever done it for my health either. So that is the number one thing that we need to do. The second thing is stopping to say, okay, digestion. It starts in your brain. So when you start digesting, it starts because you're thinking about food. And then what happens is you put the food in your mouth and it goes down your esophagus. Well, hopefully you're chewing until it's like baby food. It's called masticating. You want to masticate until it's broken down because you've got enzymes in your mouth that break down food. Goes down the esophagus, enters the stomach, and the stomach is like a food processor. So basically, it's where everything's being whizzed up with some acid, and it turns into what's called chyme. So what we've got to do is work out, where are the issues potentially in this process for you? So you need a practitioner who can talk to and can think functionally across this whole process. So then, we've got the liver, which stores bile. It goes to the gallbladder, and the gallbladder basically squeezes out a little bit when it needs it, particularly when there's fats. So, and then you've got the pancreas that releases enzymes, and then basically the chyme, the food that's been all whizzed up in the stomach, then goes to the small intestine. And in the small intestine, that's where the majority of your nutrients are absorbed. If you've got celiac disease, and you well know the small intestine, that's where the villi get damaged. And from there, the waste goes to the large intestine, or as we call it, the colon, then goes through to the rectum, and there's basically a valve there which tells your brain and your rectum talk to each other and say, right, toilet time, and that's where you defecate through your anus. So it's a complicated process, and things can run amok at numerous different levels. So when we're looking at doing functional testing, we're looking at all of the levels here. So what you want to do is be working with someone who basically gets it and can think quickly and functionally as you're telling your story as to what's going on. Food, mood, poop is the other thing to be looking at. So we want you to be pooping in the range of a 3 to 4. 4 is optimal. So a sausage or a snake, long, smooth and soft and brown. So you're looking at defecating 20 centimeters a day. So for some people that looks like 1, 2 or 3 poops a day. Other people, it's just one big poo. If you're more constipated, you'll have a type 1, 2 or 3. And then if you've got loose stools, you'd be a 5, 6 or 7. So 5, 6, 7 is an indication that there potentially is infection, bad bugs, pathogen, something's going on. 1, 2, 3 can also be that there's particular bacteria, because there are bacteria that are very constipating, but maybe also you don't have enough fiber and enough hydration, enough water. If your poo floats, again, it's a sign. So you've got to let me know. You've got to let me know if it's sinking, floating, the color, the type. So the GI map. So some of the functional tests that I run, I'm going to talk you through. So the GI map is a stool test where we look at the large intestine. And what we're looking here at is, the first part of the report where I look at is what's the resilience of your gut health? So, how good can you digest fats? What's your enzymes like? what's your beta glucuronidase like? And that gives me an indication of your ability to clear toxins. Is there blood? Your secretory IgA is the mucosal lining of your gut. You know, the 1800 that they've got here is excellent. I never see people with results like this. It's usually suboptimal, way below 500, or overreactive and way above 2000. Anti-gliadin IgA, so that's a non-mediated gluten sensitivity. Gliadin is another protein in wheat. So yeah, a lot of people have anti-gliadin IgA. So we've got to take gluten out and gliadin out if that's the case. Calprotectin, so that's when the white blood cells infiltrate the lining of the gut. If your calprotectin's up and you've got blood, I'll be sending you off to the GP for a colonoscopy, or strongly suggesting that they send you off for a colonoscopy. So they're very good markers to keep an eye on. And zonulin. So if you heard a leaky gut, this person has leaky gut. The higher the zonulin means the more the protein of zonulin is in the intestinal wall. It's not good. We don't want that. Very powerful stuff. Then what we do is we look at the report, and this first page, you know, usually the pathogens I don't see. So very rarely do I see pathogens, but if we see pathogens, then we've got to work through what the plan is for you to get rid of them. Where I do spend a lot of time with people is on this page around the opportunistic bacteria. So for me, it's about stopping to say, well, what has caused this abundance of these bad bugs? So just, you know, going in and saying, oh, you've got to take these herbs and do this and that is not enough. It's about stopping to say, why? Why has this happened? And how do we get the colonies down? If you've got autoimmune disease, then the autoimmune triggers are very helpful to understand. You know, this person's got Klebsiella, which is a pretty nasty one that is got a lot of science behind it around it being autoimmune, creating and sustaining. So again, the goal is for us to get these down. Fungi and yeast, Candida is quite famous. Most people know that. And, you know, often I see other yeast as well. Viruses, I hardly ever see viruses. H. pylori or Helicobacter. I very rarely see virulence factors, but if there's a small colony of H. pylori, what we've got to do is just work through how we knock it on the head. And there's some fabulous probiotics that really target that. And then, you know, finally, the good bugs. So the really positive, good bacteria that we need in our gut, you're going to get an idea of what's going on. And some people, they have none of these. You wouldn't believe it. So I see it all the time. So what we're going to do is build them up. So a lot of people, you know, they haven't had them, I think, for many, many years. And maybe their mum didn't have it. So there was not a pass the parcel. But the good news is we can build them up, and they do impact your health very positively when we do. SIBO breath test, so that stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So depending on what happens in our first consultation, I'll be able to work out what is the best line of testing. So for some clients, it is doing the poo test and the breath test. If they decide they just want to do one, what we've got to do is work through what's going to be the best one for them. So not everyone needs to get the breath test. It's more if you've got very specific symptoms. So yeah, I order this much less, but when I do, the people get good results, because what we find out is if there's methane or hydrogen bacteria in the small intestine where it shouldn't be, and how much of it is there. And the reason why, I had a client this morning and he said, look, do I really need to know this? And yes, you do, because you need to know how much parts per million of each of these molecules you've got, because it'll give us an idea of how long your treatment plan is going to be, the types of herbs, and yeah, exactly what we've got to do for you. So again, not everyone does that. The Omnix urine test, again, not everyone does this. This is a metabolic amino acid test. So what we're looking at here is how are a lot of your metabolic processes working. So it's a good one for inflammation, detoxification, oxidative stress. It gives us a good indication of neurotransmitters, stress, mood, toxins, and also will tell us and point me in the direction of if you do need gut testing. So I usually run or suggest this test for people who have really long-term chronic fatigue, low energy, autoimmune. It's fabulous for, what else? Post-viral, it's incredibly useful. Let me think, hormones. Although hormones, sometimes there's another test called the Dutch test that's better. But yeah, generally it's around that fatigue, autoimmune, post-viral. And it's been, yeah, very, very powerful getting people being able to get their bespoke and individual information. And another one, so I order this a lot for people, is the hair test. So this is really good to understand what your mineral deficiencies are. And if you have toxicities, this person's toxic in copper, they would have very poor mental health, unfortunately. So what I'd be doing is working with them to say, okay, what's going on for you? Is this genetic? Is this environmental? Let's gently get it down and balanced with zinc. Copper and zinc should be in balance. These first four, calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium, should be in balance. And, you know, at this line here, they're way out of balance. If we think of this like a seesaw, it's definitely not even. Again, pointing to the mental health. They would have quite poor mental health at the moment, unfortunately. So what I do is I go through this and then, you know, look at their heavy metals, lead and cadmium, huge. You know, you don't want ever that level. So, you know, I work through this to say, okay, well, what's the plan? You know, what's your metabolic type? What are you carrying as far as heavy metals? Where do we need to do some adjustment? This is a great one if, again, low energy, autoimmune, other health issues going on where no one can work out what's going on. Great for kids with learning challenges, because, you know, all the kids that I've tested with learning challenges, their minerals are so out of whack. It's amazing. And once we rectify it, like literally one mum wrote to me and said, is it possible my child is now smarter? Yes, because they don't have brain fog. You know, they don't have all that crazy noise and stuff that was going on before, because they're more in balance. I can't remember if I said it's great perimenopause and postmenopause. Really, really, really fabulous for that as well. And yeah, just for general well-being. So I do this on myself. You know, I do most of these on myself once a year. I don't drink alcohol. So, you know, I figured the money that I would have been wasting on alcohol, I'm investing into my health. And it's been really helpful because I can work through exactly what my minerals are and where I need some support. So the second element is a step-by-step bio-individual roadmap that guides you on what to do and why. And again, the way to develop a bio-individual roadmap is to have the appropriate functional tests run for you and interpreted by a practitioner who has taken your health history. Looking at those reports alone is not helpful. I see this time and time again where people come to me and they've had tests run and they've come to me with the tests because the practitioner didn't debrief them enough or didn't take their health history, so they haven't helped them join the dots. That's really, really important. The third one is to get a nutrition plan and a lifestyle plan that's going to suit your needs based on what your body needs right now. Okay, so if cooking's hard for you, We've got to support you on how to make it easy. If you love cooking, we've got to give you recipes that are really going to excite you. We've got to bring in the foods that are helpful and take out the foods that are hurtful. So we need to calm down inflammation and that overreaction at that cellular mitochondria level. The building blocks for your cells are nutrition, hydration, and oxygen. So your cells need those three things as well as toxins being eliminated well. So that's our goal. Our goal is to really work on getting you to a point where you're rebuilding tissues. So tissues are in your gut, and, all over your body. So, as it works, you've got cells, and cells make tissues, and tissues make organs. That's kind of how it works. And we need hydration, nutrition, and oxygen, and the rainbow colors. So, just looking at this, do you have any color deficiencies? We want to make sure that you're eating the right, all of these colors each week. And, if you're not eating white, purple, blue, green, I want you to be eating mainly green, yellow, orange, and red, then, today's your wake-up call that you've got to bring some of those in. The fourth was a professional that you can ask questions from and get ongoing support. So especially if you get some of these results back and it's going to take a while for you to regain your health. Some people are really quick. I shared the story of Anne. She was really quick. For others who do have bacteria in their small intestine, which is really much harder to shift, we may be working together for months. I've got a client who's probably going to be a year. We've got to like each other. You've got to trust me. You've got to feel supported. And I run everything through a practice management software. So, you and I can talk. So in this tool, this is where I share recipes with you. This is where there's a chat function. This is where we engage. So, I'm hoping you get resolution much quicker, but, in the event that you don't, I'm here for you. And to have that sense of community and accountability. So in a lot of my programs, like the Healthy Gut Formula, there's other people in there doing it with you. So I've got all these beautiful lessons that are well thought through that not only educate you on what's going on, but also you've got other people with you along the way who are going through the same kinds of things that you are. And that's really powerful. I find it for the people who show up to, some of the conversations that we have monthly conversations if you join the Healthy Gut Formula, and, they get great results because they're not only getting support where they need it, but they're also celebrating their wins. And it's amazing to look how far you've come in a month when you have that space created to look back. So let's review. So the real reason of what you're doing isn't working. Well, you've discovered today that without identifying and addressing the root causes, which may include an overgrowth of bad bugs, not enough good bugs, imbalances, etc., leaky gut, dietary and other changes just aren't going to work. So you could keep trying, but unless you get to the bottom of what's going on, it may just not work. You've learned that general advice from Google and others in online forums are just not going to get to the bottom of what's going on in there. To stop the overwhelm roller coaster, you've learned that while there may be a family and history and genetic component, it is possible to regain your level of health. You've discovered a functional medicine nutrition approach is complementary, and you've learned that you don't need to struggle in working out what to eat or what to do. I'm here for you. I will create that plan for you. And you learn the discovery that changed the way I think about the gut. So it's about stopping to go, what's going on in there? It's about joining the dots. It's about stopping to say food is medicine. Remember the raspberry story? And what impact does functional foods such as raspberry have on the microbiome? And it's powerful. And you've learned that you need a bio-individual roadmap developed for you and support from a professional who understands what you're going through. So you're here because you want to learn how to utilize the power of food as medicine and get a healthy gut. You want answers and a plan so you can stop going around in circles and feel completely overwhelmed. And you want to regain your health, whatever that looks like for you, so you can be happy and have energy once again. So I said I was going to show you how to take a functional medicine nutrition approach and hopefully give you more insight and get it clearer on the next steps to take. So I hope I've really achieved that outcome for you today. So if you'd like me to support you, so, you can continue what you're doing. And I hear this a lot with people saying, look, I just want to learn from others and keep Googling and asking in forums. Fair enough. You can keep doing that, or you can stop to say, it's time for me to get a bio-individual roadmap. And this is how I can help you. So you can book a discovery call. So I'll pop a link so you can book in. And basically, you just go on my calendar. Don't book the JIA 45-minute, book the 20-minute or 15-minute, I think, one. And what we'll do is we'll have a conversation about what's happening for you. So you just basically go on, click a date, look at the times that I've got free. Then you enter your name, you tell me how you heard about it. So you just say this workshop and share with me a little bit about the reason for you booking. So what your symptoms are. So we're going to talk about your goals. We're going to work through any obstacles or challenges that you think may derail you from taking a functional approach. And I'm going to answer any questions you have. And it's 100% free. So the 20-minute conversation we have is free. It's not for you if you're not interested in actually pursuing this approach. It's not for you if you're not open-minded to a different way of supporting yourself. It's not for you if you're not going to take action right now. It's not for you if you're not committed to being consistent and persistent with these upgrades over the next few months. And it's not for you if you're actually comfortable. If you don't feel like you need to make any change right now, it's not for you. The discovery call is for you if you want to take action, you want to take a new approach, you want to try functional medicine, nutrition approach, you want to start investing. What are some of the root causes for me and learn what's going on in there? I will say, not often, but every now and again, I'll meet someone and I will call it out and I'll say, look, I don't think you and I are going to work well together. And I'll refer them to someone else, because if they don't meet these criteria, then, it's not worth them investing in working with me. It's for you if you are open-minded to a different way of supporting yourself, and if you're committed to being persistent and consistent with these upgrades over the next few months. So if this is you, then schedule your call, book in. So what I'll do is I'll send you a link where you can complete the My Symptoms assessment. And what this is going to do is give you a bit of an idea as to where maybe you're putting up with symptoms that you've just been basically, tolerating as normal. So I'm going to send you a link for that as well. And then when we meet, we'll be able to go through that and say, okay, well, this is part of the puzzle. What's going on in here? So these are the questions I often get. I'm not sure what to do next. Should I book a call? Yeah, sure. Book a call. You can always cancel it. What if I'm working with another practitioner? You can certainly book a call. Where it becomes complicated is if you're getting advice from numerous practitioners. So, I've got many clients who are seeing herbalists and naturopaths, and we get to a cross in the road where I say, look, whose advice are you taking? Are you taking theirs or mine? Because you can't be blending often a lot of these protocols. So you just got to keep that in mind. I'm more than happy to work with other practitioners to support you, but yeah, we've got to get clear on where the protocol is going to come from. I'm happy to look at previous practitioners' notes and reports and blood tests and gut tests and anything that you got as well. I've already spent so much money trying to help myself. Should I still book a call? Well, yeah, of course, the call's free. So the call's not going to cost you anything. And we can work out if we're a good fit to work together. What if I need to discuss it with my partner? Should I still book the call? Yeah, you can. You can book the call, you can cancel it. You can also bring your partner along if you want. I'm more than comfortable with that, whatever's going to work for you. And like I said earlier, if you've already done a lot of tests, should I book a call? Yes. Yep, book the call. And you can even send me the tests before we speak, or, you can talk to me about the tests when we speak. So that's it. I encourage you, if today has been helpful, to let me know. I'd love to know what your aha has been or your reflection. And like I said, if you feel like I can help you, please log on. Feel free to book a free discovery call. If there's not a time that suits you, just drop me a message. I can be a little bit flexible. My diary does fill up very full, but I'll try my best to meet. I know we're across various time zones and things like that. So I will do my best to fit you in. All right, here's to a healthy gut. Have a lovely day. Bye.